Riley. Guys, welcome back to the channel. You'll notice behind me the hood's open again. You're probably wondering why. Well, the air conditioning hasn't worked in this since I got it, and I've been kind of messing around with it, and I've jumped it. I know the compressor works, but as you can see, the front end of the truck's apart, and that's because when I took, for the dryer that's up here, I took this line off. I noticed there was a bunch of green dye inside of it. And I got really excited because that means that at some point when the school had this, they knew that it was leaking. They vacuumed it and then recharged it with the dye. So I have a light. I don't have the vacuum and I don't have the way to actually do it, so I'll have to send it away to get it recharged. But I can see where the leak is. So I started looking around and I don't see where it's glowing, because what happens is that stuff will glow a nice bright green. So I'm looking, I don't see anything. I get down into this part here, which is actually this line I've taken out, and you can see all right there is glowing green. So this line, which I've actually already removed from the compressor that's way down in the bottom, as Riley sings this wonderful songs in the background. The compressor that's down here, I actually already have removed the line. I have to unplug the, I believe that's the high pressure switch right there. I have to unplug that, and then I can pull the whole thing out. Now I had to fight right here because there was so much rust and corrosion that the line wouldn't come out. So I had to very carefully use the blowtorch and not damage all of this behind this, but hold it here enough to heat it up to get this to separate, and finally got it to come out, which that was nasty. I'm hoping that I didn't mess up where the this attaches into the condenser, because what I did was I went down to the parts store and I bought a new, this is called the discharge line. Now it looks different from factory because it doesn't have a big like expansion tube and stuff, but it's the right one. It's just, I'm sure GM, after they manufactured this one. You want to help me? Are you sure? Here, hold this. Great job. All right, let me take it out. Oh, jeez, excuse me. Here you go. You're gonna stand there and hold it. You're doing a good job. Okay. So when GM manufactured, I'm sure like several years later, they went, hey, we don't even need that, so let's change the design of it. I can still find some and buy them with that little expansion thing on there, but it doesn't matter. The other thing I also got while I was there was some new O-rings. It's always a good idea to, because like up by the dryer, I pulled that off. There's a good chance that O-ring now is junk, so I'm just going to replace it. And then the other thing I bought was some new AC Pro that has the UV dye in it. I'm not going to be able to vacuum the system out, but I'm hoping I can get enough of this in there so it'll push up through and tell me if I cracked that condenser at all. And then I'll just check it with the light. That's the hope that I didn't, and then when I go and get the truck inspected, that's when I'm going to get the system vacuumed and then recharged, and then I'll have the air conditioning working again, which that was like the one thing that I was telling my wife, I'm not driving this thing unless the air conditioning is working. So, and I'm sure you guys are wondering too, because I've said now for almost a month, hopefully I have it registered soon. I have a buddy of mine helping me out with this. The paperwork is kind of a nightmare because when the department that I got it from the school. Oh yeah, okay, grab some gloves, I'll hold this. I'm gonna set it right here. When the department got it from the school, they never changed the title in their name. So it's kind of a pain with our state, the way things are. So I'm hopefully gonna have something worked out here pretty soon with the school and their auction department will help me out. Then I can start driving it. So let me get her gloved up, and I'm gonna put her to work. We're gonna get that line put back in. Okay, she's gloved up. You gloved up? You ready to go? Okay. So when I disassembled this, a lot of videos I've seen, they don't tell you to take this off. This is the bracket that holds the headlight and then the marker light and the daytime running light below. I don't know, I think it's like maybe 10 or 11 or 12 bolts. It's nothing crazy. It's pretty easy to take apart, and it just makes life easier because instead of trying to fight and get it twisted around and everything else, all I have to do is unplug the high pressure switch down here. Get that out of the way. I can get it off. Come on. This is the problem because I'm sure this has been in there since day one. And 17 years later, it's like, hello, this is my home. I don't want to come out of it. And of course, I have no way to stick this thing. Do I? Do I? Do I? Do I? Hello? So you can hopefully see it, which you probably can't. But I'm just going to unplug this thing anyways. There it goes. Okay. Now that's unplugged, as you can see. All we're going to do is, now that it's this part's out of the way, this makes things easier, because then all I have to do is just kind of push this around the hoses, pull this out, and gee, look at that. That's done. Now, I could have probably spent 10, 15, 20 minutes, probably an hour trying to fight to get that thing out, or spend 10 minutes to take that bracket off and pull the hose out. So, Riley, come over here. As you can see, I'm going to take this like this. As you can see, it's slightly different than the factory, but as far as like lengths and dimensions, other than that upper bend isn't there, it's the same thing. Only thing is different is this part here is gone. I can't wear my gloves anymore. What do you mean you can't wear gloves anymore?
I can't.
How can you not wear gloves anymore?
I can work still.
Oh, you're going to get your hands all dirty? Come here, let me put some grease on your face. So as you'll see, this piece is missing, which it doesn't matter. So now I'm going to get this piece off, which is the switch. That's what goes onto this. They give us some nice, new, pretty O-rings. There, and for the condenser side, there's caps, so you don't have to worry about getting anything in it. And then the only thing I'm going to need is this bolt and the nut, which is over on my cart, I hope to God, because I started taking this apart last night.
I'll get it.
So we don't want to lose that. So I'm just going to get this put in the truck. There's tons of videos out there how to do this, and I mean, here, hold this. I'll show you guys the route lines for this whole thing, so I don't have to worry about and bore you with putting this back in the truck. So it goes through this opening here, and that's this flap reattaches back to the headlight assembly when you put it back together. So it goes through here, and then it comes down under all this, and then you can see the compressors right here, and hopefully you can see that there's an opening down here. That's where it gets, I don't even know if you can see that. See if we can get the camera moved enough. Maybe get this out of the way. There's down at the compressor, there's an upper one, and then there's a lower one. The lower one is the discharge one. The upper one is actually the one that goes up to this, for the front dryer, and then the dryer for the rear air. So that's luckily the only leaks that I found. So I'm just going to run this thing all back in, put it all back together, and then we'll be back once the whole thing's reassembled. And then, you know, maybe I'll show you guys how to put this thing back on, this little bracket. So I'll be back momentarily. Well, after what for you was just a couple seconds, for me, a couple hours, I will say this as far as parts, fitment-wise, not so hot. I had to use my pipe bender and kind of reshape it in there, but now you can see I've got the can on there, and I'm gonna have my wonderful camera wife go to the back of the truck, and you guys will hear it quite quickly. It's leaking, which means that positive note, because it was not doing that before, I fixed the problem in the front, I believe. Bad note, somewhere over this wheel well, which is in this inner fender liner I never had off, which is where the lines go. Yeah, it's leaking somewhere in there, which I'm really hoping that GM didn't go from the front all the way to the back with one long line. I'm really hoping there's a break in here somewhere so I could just pop it apart and put a new one in. But yeah, this kind of sucks. So I don't know if I'm gonna get any more done today. I did get the front end off the back together. Like I said before, when we started this wonderful air conditioning how to do video with me showing you none of how to do. It really isn't that hard. All I did to get this in was I took these two bolts out, and there's two bolts on the back side of this bracket, so I could kind of flex the condenser forward a little bit, and then I could get the line in there. Like I said, after I had to, you can see it's bent now. I had to kind of bend it a little bit, and then there's two starred screws, which are Hold on, I will tell you the size. Oh, I won't because it's missing. I think this is a T20. I think. I don't know anymore. It's all worn off. Harbor Freight Special. There's 2 starred, and then the rest are all 10mm bolts. And then the whole thing goes back on. It's a lot easier to just take this thing out of the way, putting the line in instead of trying to fight. Like when I do, eventually when I do this power steering and brake booster auxiliary cooler, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this whole bracket, move it out of the way, because then I can just pull the hoses out, put the hoses in, and I'm done. So I don't have to fight with this whole mess. So, paint. I don't know. Like I said, when I would charge the system before, I'd go through 2 cans and it'd leak out. And I wouldn't hear it as forcefully in the back like I do now, which makes me think that it's holding pressure, because I think, just thinking, when I'm filling this, it's not just going into, I mean, it is, but I think it's also coming down into the high pressure side and then going into the back. We're going into the high pressure line in the back, which would mean it should be also going up into the radiator. I'd like to think that, but I haven't even heard the compressor come on yet. Oh, of course. So I guess I'm going to pull that inner fender liner out in the back, which means I'm going to put some of the front end of the truck back together. Maybe not. I got all the parts just sitting over there. But I got to pull the truck back in so I can take that off. I'm hoping I can just do it without taking the wheel off. And then I can find out where the leak is next. Upstate New York rust. It's so much fun. Yay. No, it's not. It sucks. All right, guys. I got under the truck. I looked at it. I definitely found the leak. And then when I pulled the fender liner out, which is now sitting on the floor, and, you know, we can look in here and see all the wonderful, look at that, little spider webs. But hey, I think I found where the leak problem is. I don't know if it has anything to do with this line that is just hanging in the breeze. It looks like over here, and they had one that fell off on the other side. It looks like they tried to actually fix this once before, and I'm sure it held and it stopped leaking. And then eventually I think the front line started leaking, and then that leaked again, and then the whole system dumped out. I did notice that I really wasn't getting a green glow until after I replaced the front line in the truck. That was when I noticed that all of it was kind of pushing to the back. So I do think what I did in the front fixed it up in that part. So I think it's starting to hold pressure up there. It's just pushing all the air back to the rear unit, and well, there's a big hole there, so now it just comes blowing out the back of it. So I'm going to go to the parts store. I think I can get, it's a 3/8 line. I think I can get an actual new kit from Dorman makes it. I wouldn't recommend it for forever, but because I did look it up, the line goes from the front all the way to the back, and it's stupid money to replace. Even aftermarket kits that you can get, they're all rubber lines. They're still like $350 from Amazon. I think the factory ones are slightly more than that. The aluminum lines coming down through. So it's just easier to just do what I'm going to do. All it is you cut off where it's bad on both sides, and then you put a collar on it. It has a rubber hose to fill up in the middle. You put everything back together, and then you slide the thing up in and zip tie it back up in, put the fender liner in, and then it should stop leaking. So I'm going to have to go to the parts store and see if I can order that, and then hopefully replace that in the next couple days. I've got some stuff coming up personally that's going to kind of delay things, but we are close. We are very close with getting this thing registered. The next video, it might be registered. Maybe. I don't know, but fingers crossed. So this is kind of it for today. So please like, subscribe, have that bell notification on, and we'll catch you in the next one.